drivers battled for big-time money in Jackson. I'm Kelly Stewart, and this is Midco Motorsports. The National Sprint League kicked off a big triple-header weekend Friday at Jackson Motorplex, where owner Todd Queering put up the richest single-day purse in the track's history. That included a $20,000 payday for the winner of the 410 sprints. The prize money in the 360 sprint race was also elevated $2,000 to the winner. 17W Brian Clausen started on the pole, but he would cut his rear left tire. That gives way to the 11X of Greg Baker. 52 Blake Hahn led 2 laps early but spun out on the front stretch by himself. He'd fall back but would find himself in second place when the race was over. The 22W of Scott Winters would make his best attempt to pass the 11X but is shut down, and Baker is able to hold on and win the nice purse.
Holding on for the win. I mean, it's tough when you're out in the front like that and there's so many lines on the track, you don't know where to run, and them restarts. When you're leading, you never want to see them restarts.
On to the 410 feature, where the winner takes home the largest purse in the track history, $20,000 to the driver that crosses the line first. 55L Aaron Rutzel figured he was the car to beat. Starting on the outside of row 1, he pedaled to the front early. The 55L was challenged by 21 Brian Brown. He'd surrender the lead, but would take it back until there were 5 laps left. Rutzel will get caught high on the track and lose a lot of momentum, and Johnny on the spot, 29 Kerry Madsen, is the new leader and drives cleanly to the $20,000 checkered flag.
The cushion would build up as you go, and if you just tripped on it wrong, it would suck you in, and it sucked him in, and he lost all his momentum. So I mean, just couldn't believe my luck, to be honest.
Park Jefferson also hosted a major event with the ASCS National Sprint Cars invading the North Sioux City Oval. The night started with the IMCA Fox 620 Hobby Stocks, 58 Aaron Schern and 19 Nick DeMara starting on the front row. Schern would take the early advantage, jumping out to the lead, but 6 Dustin Gulbranson, who is always near the top of the results, started 6th, and he was on a mission to make his move early. The 6th would overtake Schern, and he would hold on to the lead the rest of the way. Gulbranson picks up another Hobby Stocks feature win. On to the IMCA Schaefer Oil Sport Modifieds 25. Jeff Blom set the pace from the drop of the green flag, but 14 Todd Bulware was finding his way through the field. He would make a pass from 5th to 3rd, getting by the 22 and 95X. Bulware wasn't done, as he would finally chase down Blom and was able to get his nose under the 25 in turn 1, taking the lead. Bulware would cross the line first and was really happy to find himself in victory lane.
It was a good race. It was a good race. Finished in the lead. That's where we wanted to. It was slick, but there was some areas of, I don't know, there were some areas that was kind of tacky you could get a hold of if you aimed for them, drove for them. My car was good. My car is great.
On to the 360 Sprint Cars, the ASCS National Series, and it was a show for the boys on the front row. 52 Blake Hahn and the 17 of Josh Bauman. The 17 would have the better of the battle early, but once the leaders caught up to lap traffic is when the 52 pounced. Riding the bottom of the track, Hahn drives right past the 17 Bauman to take the lead. The 52 would widen the game and drive on to his 3rd national win of the season.
The track's really awesome sized track. It's a beautiful 3/8 mile track, good high banking, and that's really what we're growing up on, was a small high bank track. So and it was real nice and dry slick too. It's just a really racy track all around.
Hahn finds himself solidly in 3rd place in the standings. He is trailing the points leader by 354 points. Plenty of heat on the track at Badlands, and more on that in a bit, but the street stocks turned out to be a 2-man race. 71 Sean Taylor and the 11K of Darren Korthels. The 71 is the stronger of the 2 cars tonight, as he is able to hold off the charging Korthels, and he finds himself in the winner's circle. The standings, though, favor Korthels, as he has opened up over a 100-point lead. Taylor finds himself in 2nd with 2 wins on the season. Matt Stewart, Tim Dan, and Dan Jensen round out the top 5. On to the 305 sprints, a wild finish in this one with 2 laps to go. The 1 AJ of Trevor Mell gets taken out by the 5 of Colin Smith. This would allow the 17 of Casey Abbas to come out of 3rd and take the checkered flag.
It's the heat of the moment. It's racing. When you think somebody spins you out, you're pretty upset, and he found out the truth that I didn't actually hit him as another car, and he come and apologize, and we're good. And we'll keep racing together.
The standings are getting tight at the top. Robbie Wolfgang holds a slim 24-point lead over Abbas. Colin Smith, Jesse Lindberg, and Matt Zebarth are all within 31 points of the lead. A familiar trend is happening on a weekly basis for Mark Dobmeier. He keeps winning at Badlands Motor Speedway. This win would be a little tougher for Dynamite because passing was hard to do on Saturday night. The 13 made a pass of the night when he passes Justin Henderson with 3 laps to go. Dobmeier would hang on to take the checkered flag and win again at the Badlands. Dobmeier celebrates his 5th win, wing dancing in the winner's circle.
You know, right off, starting around the 4th of July, we picked up a win and we just haven't stopped. I think we're up to 8 or 9 in a row right now. I'm starting to lose track, but I just can't. It's just we just take it one night at a time and keep having fun with this deal, and everything's clicking and banging with this team right now, and we've gelled together nice over the last couple of years, and we just got a hot streak going on. We're going to keep it going as long as we can.
Can Mark Dobmeier keep his winning ways at River Cities? We'll follow along with Dynamite as he looks for another win at the famous bull ring. Mark Dobmeier is on a roll at River Cities Speedway, no doubt. Dynamite has won 7 consecutive races at the famous bullring, which ties Superstock driver Jerry Messner's win streak. Could Dobmeier break the track record on a night where River Cities Speedway partner Wayne Anderson was remembered? We'll start with the Street Stocks points leader Travis Robertson in the 10R. Starts on the pole looking for another win at the bullring, but Mike Olson in the yellow 17M gets around him in turns 1 and 2 to take an early lead. The last few laps saw the 10R fighting off Adam Burrows in the 18B, but he is able to hang on, picking up his 40th career win and his 6th this season at River Cities Speedway. On the pole in the Midwest Modifieds feature was Winnipeg's Austin Hunter in the yellow 44 car. He would keep the lead early, but on lap 9 there would be some action around turns 3 and 4. Gary Nelson in the 74 car gets loose and forces a couple cars off the track. That brings out a caution. Hunter stays strong off the restart and later fends off a strong challenge from the E85 car Jason Strand. Hunter, the points leader, picks up his first win in 3 years in Grand Forks.
This is my 5th year racing and I got one in my 2nd year, so yeah, it's been about 3 years, but we've been faster every year. We just haven't got that win yet, so to finally get one today was awesome.
Points leader in the late models Dustin Strand started on the pole, but in the first turn of the race he slips a little, and Joey Peterson and Brad Seng make their way around the 71. Lap 15, Peterson in the 7P, making it very difficult for Strand to make a move in lap traffic, using the other cars as shields and using that cushion on turns 3 and 4 to keep the lead. But on the final lap, just past the white flag, Peterson gets a little loose around turn 2, and the 71 is right there to jump on the opportunity and snag the lead back. He grabs the checkered flag with his fist pumping out the window.
The car was good enough to win, but I thought we had a 2nd place finish going on because Joey's really good on the cushion. He just had one bobble there in the last corner, so we got pretty lucky to get this deal actually.
On to the Outlaw Sprints, Mark Dobmeier looking for his 8th straight feature race at the bullring. He would start 9th, but we all know that no lead is safe when Dynamite Mark Dobmeier is behind the wheel. On to a restart on lap 21. Casey Mack in the 8 is your new leader, and look who's worked his way up to the 2nd spot, the 13 of Mark Dobmeier. But Mack was very fast. He was able to hold off Dobmeier on the restart. However, Thomas Kennedy in the 21K brings out the caution and another restart. This time, Dobmeier uses that same slide job and he takes over the lead. And he quickly pulls away from Mack, and Mark Dobmeier picks up his RCS record 8th straight victory.
I tell you what, 8 in a row at the River Cities and 7 in a row total right now between Badlands and here, and it's awesome. You don't really think about it because I take it one race at a time, but when you sit back at times like this and kind of reflect on it, it's pretty amazing what we've accomplished.
Ada, Minnesota is the scene, Norman County Raceway is the track, and Midwest Mods is the race. 11 laps to go, number 19, Lucas Rodine with a healthy lead, but trouble behind him in turn 1 as the number 8Y Bill Yonke slides off the track, bringing out the caution and taking away Rodine's large lead. Final lap, Rodine would not be denied as he builds his lead back up and he takes this one wire to wire for the victory.
It definitely helped to have that bottom position there. It seemed like there was a pretty good line there. The high side seemed a little dusty up there, so it was good to be on the bottom on the start and just keep everyone behind.
On to the Street Stocks and the Kingpin Clash. 8 laps to go, pole sitter 10R Travis Robertson still holding down the top spot, getting a big challenge from 18B Adam Burrows. Burrows gets into the back corner of Robertson, but he's able to keep it under control and in the lead. 2 laps to go. Burrows still getting into the bumper of Robertson, but Robertson holds steady and keeps the lead as a caution comes out. 4S Rick Scholes went off the backtrack on the backstretch, but he was bumped off by another driver, so Scholes stays in his spot near the front. Sets up a green-white checkered finish, and pole sitter Robertson holds on for the win and puts the 10R in victory lane.
I definitely didn't need those last restarts. Those were such a killer for me, but this is the race that I said I wanted to win at the beginning of the year. You know, James Tandeschi and the Bowler and what they did for my car this winter, getting it together from bare frame. I mean, I can't thank them enough, and this is the one I wanted.
From the drop of the green flag for the IMCA Sport Mods, this was number 8 J. Luke Johnson's race to win as he builds a big lead before the first lap is even completed on the field. Johnson cruising right along nearly opens a half-lap lead on the rest of the field with under 5 laps to go, but a caution comes out when Fuller and Jacobson get back together in turn 3. This wreck ends the night for Jacobson. A bunched-up field couldn't stop Johnson, though, as he easily takes home the checkered flag in this one night after winning the feature in West Fargo. 12 laps to go for the IMCA Modifieds pole sitter 25 Jamie Trotner with a nice lead going onto the backstretch, but gets into it with some lap traffic and spins out. Good news for Trotner is the yellow flag was not assessed to him, so he's able to continue from the top spot. Trotner keeps his car out in front the rest of the way, but not before getting tested by number 10 Austin Arneson, who tries to go inside on lap traffic and cuts a turn short. In the end, it's Trotner who finishes on top. Over to Worthington, Minnesota. Hobby Stocks up first. Good 3-car race. 59 Corey Gronwald takes the early lead but gets challenged and goes back and forth with 27 Malik Sampson. Gronwald would win that battle, but the 17X of Justin Lunenberg proves to make things tough for Gronwald. They battle until the checkered flag, but the 59 crosses first, picking up the win.
We just tried to keep the car in the middle of the track and hold our line, and to keep the other guys behind me. There wasn't much in the top and there wasn't much on the bottom, so if you just held your line, they weren't going to really get by me.
On to the Sport Modifieds. We'll jump straight to the last lap. 15 J.R. Cole Bentz has this race pretty well in hand, but 03Z Jason Andrews would chase him down with 1 to go, and on that final lap, the 03Z is able to overtake Bentz. Good race from Andrews, who started 4th. He picked up 38 points on the night while he celebrated in victory lane.
I could see the 15 car was kind of getting tight on the bottom, and I just figured I needed to blast it in on the top and hopefully get a good run off of him.
Stock cars were up next, and this race was a lot of fun if you were number 5. Back and forth went the 5 of Luke Sadoff and the 5L Dustin Larson. Sadoff took the early lead, but Larson would challenge and make the pass, but the 5 of Sadoff took the lead right back, and this race was neck and neck until the final turn as Larson in the 5L was riding 3 wheels on the outside to pick drive past Sadoff and get to the checkered flag. Final race of the night was the Modifieds, and this race was over early. The 7L of Jeffrey Larson was the car to beat. He started out on the front row, had a pretty easy time out front. Not even a late caution could make this one close. On the final turn, 25 Ricky Steffen tried to catch up, but the 7L was too good tonight.
Just kept hitting my marks and just was hoping nothing would break, and we just hit our marks every lap and got lucky, and nothing just went our way, I guess.
Coming up next, we take you inside track as Gary Brown Jr. continues to get comfortable driving with the Midwest Late Models. Welcome back. Well, he almost chose to retire from racing, but after a phone call from a friend, Gary Brown Jr. found himself still going around the track, just in a different class. Winning races is a familiar feat for Gary Brown Jr. He's an 8-time track champion at Badlands Motor Speedway in the street stock class. But a couple years ago, he decided to get away from the street stocks and move on to a new class, late models.
Not that race in the street stock class that we ran wasn't fun. It just gets to be a point where you do it for a certain amount of years, which we've done it for quite a few. The funness and all that kind of wore off a little bit. And it's always nice to have something new to go to, and this one presented itself to me, and that's where we are today.
The challenge presenting itself is key. Brown Jr. considered turning in the keys and hanging up his racing career after all of his street stock success. However, sometimes when opportunity calls, you have to answer.
Brian Hyman gave me a call here a couple years ago, and got the support of him and his wife Jen and Jordan as well. we're real lucky to be able to be involved with them. They provide us with good equipment, and as it is in racing, I mean, that's key.
Even the most experienced drivers can't transition to a higher division without a little struggle, and Brown Jr. is the first one to admit that it hasn't been easy.
I think these cars drive a lot different. Everything happens quicker. Like I said, you're going through the corners a lot faster, down the straightaways a lot faster, and there's definitely some different things that you have to learn to drive. I still have some old habits that I got to break a little bit, but it's all part of the learning process.
But with the changes, one thing still remains true.
A race car's a race car. If you can get a good handling race car, when it's easy to drive, handling good, then it's fun.
Gary Brown Jr. plans to continue his racing in the late model class, and maybe a date to keep in mind if you'd like to see the late models, September 4th at Badlands Motor Speedway in Brandon. Speaking of Badlands, some controversy happened over the weekend. We'll talk Terry McCarl next in Hot Laps. Welcome back. I am here with Midco SN racing analyst Rod Pattison, and it is time for Hot Laps with Hot Rod. The story that everyone in sprint car racing is talking about, the announcement released by Badlands Motor Speedway following this past weekend's races. Terry McCarl has been suspended for 2 race weekends, including the $250,000 Rock and Roll Gold Cup. What do we make of all this?
Well, Kelly, it's a very unfortunate situation. Terry McCarl is a tremendously talented race car driver that sometimes has his emotions get in the way. It happened again this past Saturday. I know a lot of frustration with not only Terry, but a lot of the drivers has been track preparation. Some people think that it's been great. Some people don't think it's been worth a darn. And so there's been a lot of animosity there. Terry had his emotions get in the way, and Badlands had to make a statement, and they did so. It's an unfortunate deal, and really nobody wins in this thing. Badlands Motor Speedway is losing their signature driver for a couple of nights. Now, this coming Saturday, he wouldn't have been there anyway because he'll be at the 360 Nationals in Knoxville. He'd already planned on that. But where it's really going to hurt him is at the $250,000 Rock and Roll Gold Cup, which you talked about. This is Badlands' marketing of Terry McCarl against the world with the $250,000 Gold Cup. He's not going to be there. Now, there's fans that do not like Terry, that hate him, and think this is an awesome deal that he's been suspended. People that like Terry love him and thinks he's getting a raw deal out of it. You've got fans that have bought tickets for the Rock and Roll Gold Cup expecting to see Terry. He's not going to be there. They want their money back. I mean, really, nobody's winning in this thing, and it's a very unfortunate situation. And again, Badlands made a statement on the thing, and they have to stick by it. And they've also made a couple of other statements this past week, too, with another suspension and warnings and those types of things. So unfortunately, it's one of those things that has to happen in racing, and it's not a pretty situation by any stretch, and it's a real volatile situation right now, too. If there's one name in this country that people get fired up about in sprint car racing, it's Terry McCarl, love him or hate him. And unfortunately, that's kind of the way things went down.
And speaking of Terry McCarl, like you mentioned, the 26th annual 360 Sprint Car Nationals begin this weekend at Knoxville Raceway. He's the defending champ, so give us some thoughts. Who are the favorites going into this, and maybe who are some dark horses?
Well, I think that Terry's probably one of the favorites. I mean, right now he's got kind of a chip on his shoulder because of what happened this past weekend. And, you know, when you put that type of talent together with a little bit of attitude to it, I mean, he's going to be the guy, one of the guys that I think is going to be one of the favorites. He is the defending champion. He's won this event 4 times. The guy that has won it 5 times, most out of any driver, is Shane Stewart. He will not be there. I talked to Shane this past week. He's going to be racing with the World of Outlaws, so he won't be in the mix. I think one guy that you really have to point at strongly is Brian Brown. I mean, he's a guy that has won 15 feature events in the 360s alone. He's also won 33 events in the 410s. He's won this event 2 years ago. I think he's the guy you could really point to. I'd say one of my sentimental favorites, though, is going to be Danny Lasowski. He's driving for Mark Birch again this year. When those two get together, it is a phenomenal race team. A good friend, Mark Birch, has put together a program, and he's part of the Team Jack Foundation. Now, Team Jack Foundation is in honor of Jack Hoffman, little boy from Atkinson, Nebraska, suffering from pediatric brain cancer. And the foundation's raised almost $300,000 in his honor to try to fight and find a cure for pediatric brain cancer. So I would say that my sentimental favorite would probably be Danny and Mark together in the Birch Motorsports 1M. But when it comes right down to it, I think the favorite's got to be Brian Brown, just because of the phenomenal season he's had and the success that he's had at Knoxville Raceway. Now, as far as the dark horses are concerned, I think Clint Garner's a guy you have to look at. He just is coming off his 6th track championship. at the 360 level. He's a phenomenal driver at that place, a lot of confidence. I think Dusty Zomer's a kid that is very good at the place as well, and a guy that's had another phenomenal season in his very short career so far. So those are the two I think would be dark horses. It's going to be fun to watch Sammy Swindell race in the thing. Jack Haudenshield's coming in. So Randy Hannigan is another guy with Johnny Herrera. I mean, there's going to be a lot of great drivers coming in, some of the dark horses. But again, if I'm putting some money on the thing, I'm going blackjack.
All right, well, should make for some exciting races. Some sad news this past week as Wayne Anderson, a managing partner in River Cities Speedway in Grand Forks, has passed away. What did he mean to racing in the Grand Forks area and the surrounding area?
Well, a great racing mind, and he's the guy that came up with the Northern Outlaw Sprint Association, a traveling series within North Dakota, Southern Canada, Western Minnesota, and South Dakota. He's the one that developed that, and some great racers have come through there with a lot of great racing. He and his partners took over River Cities Speedway in 1999, and they have transformed that into one of the top racing venues in the country. In fact, Johnny Gibson, traveling announcer with the World of Outlaws, on this program told me that out of all the tracks he's ever been to, River Cities Speedway is his favorite. Think about this. They race 410 Outlaw Sprints and late models at the place on a dirt track that's no bigger than a running track around a football field at your local high school. It is absolutely nuts. It is a phenomenal place, great racing. If you've never been there, I would highly recommend it. A great racing mind, Wayne Anderson left us too soon.
All right, well, very cool legacy to live on. That's it. You are off the Hot Laps hot seat, so thanks, Rod. Rod has already reached the checkered flag, but we've got one lap remaining. We'll wrap things up with a look at the weekend schedule next. Here's a look at where our cameras will be heading this weekend. Enjoy the races, everyone. We'll see you back here next week for the season finale of Midco Motorsports.